All right, that was number one. Andy, what is music memory number two?
All right, music memory number two for me is one of my favorite Japanese themes of the early '90s, and one that is was hard for me to choose between many different themes. But this is one that he was probably my first favorite Japanese wrestler, and the first one that I really remember seeing a picture of him being like, "Holy crap! I need to find anything with this guy," and that is Hayabusa. His theme, which I'm forgetting the title of right now,
Fight
but
with Dream.
Fight with Dream, of course. Yes, I wanted to say Take That Dream, but I think that's Tenru maybe. So yeah. Anyway, our it doesn't matter. Fight with Dream, perfect. Hayabusa's theme from FMW. Yeah, it's just I have like distinct memories of watching, scouring the internet in like 56K internet days, and some of our older wrestling fans. I think maybe Alan or Rich or someone's talked about this at a time of having to go through these bootleg sites or trying to find like wrestling files on Napster and LimeWire and things like that. These videos that were like 240 by like 180 or what, like the smallest video size, it would take you 6 to 10 hours to download these things, and they'd only play in real player. And I remember just like typing in Hayabusa or typing in FMW after I saw them in probably Aftermags. And that is, to me, FMW um, is probably my favorite promotion. I don't necessarily think it's the best promotion. There's lots of bad stuff off FMW, but like if I were to run a wrestling promotion, FMW would be kind of my vision because it's just all over the place. It's just crazy. It's a huge spectacle. And Hayabusa, for me, obviously Onita's the biggest name, and that's that. But Hayabusa's theme and his look, I think I probably also saw him early on in WCW or NWO World Tour on the Nintendo 64 as Hannibal, I believe. And yeah, that's who I always played as. And it's just such a cool theme. I love like I don't know how you describe it. Maybe you'd be better at it, but the dun 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 dun. It's just it's so cool, and he just with his look, it just feels still to this day gets me hyped when I watch old matches with him. Yeah, it's great.
hmm Yeah, he's one of those guys who I only got to know and see after he had to retire. I never got to actually watch him wrestle during his career in any way, which is a shame because, like you said, if I had seen him when I was like a kid or whatever, he would have been my favorite guy for sure. Because I've said before on the show how when I was a kid, Rey Mysterio, I just fell in love with that guy because he looked cool and did amazing moves. And if I was 8 or 9 and I saw Hayabusa do a Phoenix Splash, my mind would have exploded. That would
Yeah,
have been it right there because everything about him, it just screams cool. He looks badass. He does these amazing moves. He has cool music.
he's all
Even the name.
scarred up like Sabu. Like he
Yeah,
does death matches, he does high flying matches. Yeah,
yeah. Even the name "Fight with Dream" just has this very, captivating feeling to it. And he just has this very unique, cool vibe about him, just in general. And that's half the battle right there, I think. And I'm lucky to have grown up with Rey Mysterio and Dragon Kid and Will Ospreay and Ricochet and all these guys who do amazing things in the ring. Don't get me wrong, but who was the guy who inspired those guys? It was Hayabusa.
right.
Ospreay last year literally wore a Hayabusa mask and tribute gear for a match of his. So the influence is quite clear, I think, for a lot of guys. And I'm glad we had the footage, of course, but I just wish I got to see him, in real time, I suppose, Andy.
Yeah, and it's not like I was watching. I wasn't necessarily tape trading. I mean, I think the only tapes I ever did trade, because I didn't have the money, so I wasn't really into that, was for FMW tapes, and I don't. They were just compilations of some kind, maybe a year in review or something like that, maybe an anniversary show. But I growing up in Oregon, we didn't get ECW until it was on TNN, and so some of this extreme matches I would see in the magazines again. I would see Taz, I would hear about Triple Threat, I would hear about all these people. But when I first started to see ECW was towards the end, and the grand scheme of things, and the watered down version. And then there's still some great stuff there. I mean, seeing RVD versus Jerry Lynn, and seeing Tajiri and Super Crazy, and still like those last days of Taz and things like that, like awesome. And I would stay up late and watch that. But I knew Hayabusa for whatever reason, pictures, video games, things like that. And when I had internet and the capability to try and download videos on, again, a 56K modem, would take a long time. I was looking for FMW, and I was looking for Hayabusa in particular, and Great Sasuke, because also he looked like a ninja. He wasn't in FMW, original, but he was in there a handful of times. But just like these cool guys, I was like, whoa, what is this? Like, I had no affinity for New Japan Juniors until probably the 2010s. Like, it was all FMW as far as Japanese stuff goes, until then. So that is my favorite promotion. That's still, to me, aesthetically, other than the next one we'll talk about, probably my favorite promotion. It's just, it doesn't rope. It's not for everybody. He's not for everybody. I hear people who don't think he's any good and he's sloppy and all that, and that's something that makes it so exciting to me. He wasn't super over compared to Onita. No one is, but like, yeah, he's just awesome. And still to this day, I wouldn't call him my favorite wrestler ever, but I would put him like on my greatest wrestler ever list, because, again, of that inspiration factor and enough like awesome moments that, yeah, he's someone who I just hold really near and dear to my heart and my fandom. Sorry, I'm rambling, trying to think of.
No, rambling is good. We like rambling here. Don't worry.
Yeah, I think they did use this, the Hayabusa and Jinsei Shinzaki went into ECW. I think they used Fight with Dream in ECW, which those matches are, I'm sure, dubbed, but I'm pretty sure they used the Hayabusa theme, but not Jinsei Shinzaki's theme, which is also awesome. But yeah, I'm not exactly sure, but for people who did watch ECW and didn't watch FMW, they may have heard it there. But it's just something, I don't know. It's so cinematic in its scope, and I just love Fight with Dream as a song still to this day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Hayabusa no longer with us. Sadly, he died way too young. He was only 47 years old, which is crazy. And he got the injury when he was, I think, 32. So it's very, very sad ending to his career, unfortunately. And actually, this is kind of a screwed up thing, I guess, but I think one of the first times I ever saw Hayabusa was in some just random wrestling music video of botches. I think it was pre-Botchamania even. And one of the clips was the infamous Hayabusa botch, where he goes for a springboard moonsault in the ring, which, is a lion salt, really. And he's done it a million times, I'm sure, but this time he slipped on the ropes and he just landed right on his head, and it paralyzed him, and he never wrestled again. And, thankfully, a few years ago, before he died, there's that famous video of him being able to get up out of his wheelchair and walk up the steps into the ring for the first time. And, all these wrestlers are there, like Tenryu and Muto and Marufuji, and, Dragon Kid is crying, and he's in the ring, and, Shinzaki does the 10-bell salute, and it's very emotional and a very, very heartwarming, moment for a guy who just had his career taken away from him just like that. So, yeah, all told, a pretty sad story for, a very iconic and influential figure in wrestling, but at least he was able to get that moment towards the end, Andy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, he had other gimmicks, he had other theme songs, but this is the one that everyone associates with him. But yeah, lives on forever. I mean, with his look, when wrestling bootlegging, and that, I come from that community a little bit, like bootleg tees and things like that. I made some for some shoot style promotions and whatnot. There was a period, probably like 2016, 2015 to 2018, where like, other than Great Muta themed stuff, like Hayabusa was like the top. Like, everyone was making Hayabusa gear because it's so easy to make him look cool, because he is just one of the coolest looking wrestlers of all time. It's a combination of like a bunch of different like looks and gimmicks, but it just still looks cool to this day. Like, he looks like a superhero or like an anime character or something. In fact, did you read Do a Powerbomb, the Daniel Warren Johnston comic that came out this year?
I have not.
Or last year? Oh, so it's really good. I know that you've been we're friends on Goodreads, behind the curtain. I know that you've been reading some comics here and there, but there's a really good kind of sci-fi wrestling comic, co-signed by Kelly Harris. Will also say is really good. That came out last year, and the main I guess antagonist, but then also becomes one of the main wrestlers in it is just a Hayabusa, like a ripped like Hulk Hogan body, but like in a Hayabusa costume. Like it's still such a iconic look, and I think really does kind of look like a comic book, similar to Liger in that way. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll check it out, definitely, yeah.